Okay, welcome everybody. This is Randy with RealMMAnews.com. I want to start out by thanking everybody for all the support these last several months. We're a small site, don't do all the big media coverage. All our writers are appreciative. We just and we're really glad everybody keeps pushing us to do more on social media, all that stuff. We had almost 2 million views in the last week and a half, and you guys are just amazing. I've never dreamed we'd have that much exposure, and I'm so happy that we're creating content, and you guys appreciate it, share it, like it, ask us more questions, all that good shit. Really appreciate it. I cannot say that enough. Uh, I'm not an analyst. I'm a fan. I've been watching MMA since about 2008. Little late to the game. Went back and watched all the Pride, WEC. I'm just obsessed with watching MMA. Good MMA, bad MMA sometimes. It's just a great time to be a fan. It's a great time to be a fan, especially after UFC 196, which went down this past Saturday. Listen about it. It's trending to be the largest pay-per-view event in UFC history, which had I think 1.6 million pay-per-view buys. Right now it's at 1.5 according to Dana. That it's hard to say if to break it, but it was the co-main event and main event were great. The rest of the card was it wasn't that great, but it's where MMA would be changed, and that's what we have. And full disclosure, I like to do a little gambling, especially on fights. So I did have money on Tate and money on Diaz as a part. Wanted Holly to win. I say that. I love Misha Tate too. She's such a nice lady, it seems like. And my heart really was with Diaz, but I thought Conor had all the skills to beat into that a little later. What a crazy night. What a crazy, crazy night. And everything after crazy too. You got crazy outlets that never cover MMA, writing stories that, Conor McGregor never was good, hasn't been good. I came from USA Today, and it's just mind-boggling. My favorites, of course, are Jack Slack, Robin Black, Luke Thomas does a great Monday morning analyst, especially on this out. And you've got people like Luca Fury, who's, an expert sports bettor, but focuses a lot on MMA. Fury's fight picks. Like I said, I like to bet money on fights. And these guys, they're good at analyzing things. Brian Stan, Kenny Flory isn't something, pay attention. But I'm not one of those guys. I'm just a fan that knows a little bit. I've had my ass kicked a few times in my life, so that's my experience. So, I'm just a fan more than anything, and this is such a great time to be a fan. I'm so appreciative of what the UFC is matchmaking. They're letting Conor do his thing. He took some risk. It was a big risk for him. They allowed Holly to take a big risk. It's not going to pay off very well for Holly, obviously. Conor is a bigger star than he was. He's a bigger star. He's got more fans. He was humble. He took it like a man. He didn't hide out from everybody. He didn't make a ton of excuses. I felt like shit. He gassed out. He quit. He mentally broke. He knows it. Diaz knows. Now it's about how can he come back, and that's going to be fascinating. We were already fascinated with this cool talking Irishman. Went from collecting social welfare a few years ago to making $1 million flat just to show up Saturday. Plus, pay-per-view points. So he made several million. Nate Diaz was making, I think, 40 and 40 in his last fight. He made a cool $500,000 just to show, another 100,000 in bonuses, and then probably 2 or 3, 4 million in pay-per-view points. Everybody should be thanking Conor. He has changed the game, and that is no lie. It's nothing, it's just great to see these guys finally get paid and get the respect they deserve. And Conor's a big part of that. So love him or hate him, he is helping the entire sport elevate. In the cage, up into this fight, he is striking technique, lots of movement, feints, just beautiful to watch. He didn't fight like that Saturday night. The weight was an issue. He didn't take Nate seriously, I think. Change of opponent's rough, but he just went in there and walked forward and was throwing hands. That's not how he normally fights, and it didn't work out for him. I think a lot of fighters would have been that first round, but the Diaz brothers not have known that. Conor's fight IQ is second to maybe John Jones in the cage, and he threw it all out the window, just throwing hands and hoping that would do it. Most of the time that probably worked, but it's not going to work against some of the elite of the elite. Keep in mind, Conor, Diaz, Lawler, Aldo, these guys are the 1% of the 1%ers in combat sports. Where fractions of an inch, fractions of a second is the difference between winning and losing and being seriously injured. So, keep that in mind whenever you see somebody come up short or, get to the punch first. It's a game of literal inches. And I know that's just an old cliche, but it really is. And, I think Connor's going to be back. I think it's going to be good for him. He wasn't unbeatable before Saturday, and everybody should have known that. He's been submitted to other times. But Saturday is going to be a tough one for him to recover psychologically from, and I really hope he doesn't plan on fighting at UFC 200 because that is too soon. He got concussed in that fight Saturday. Might just be mild. It's not super visible, but he was concussed. And we've seen what happens when people, fight too close together when they take some hard shots. Chad Mendez is the great recent example. He got TKO'd against Conor, and then Frankie Edgar and those really close fights, and generally he has a pretty good chin. The only other stop, and that's just one of those things, would have stopped any concern. He's going to jump back in. He already lives on his tuned up. It's going to be bad. And it's been a lot on Twitter the last few days. We've all been kicked. Sounds like he's going to have to defend his 145 title. So it's basically Aldo or Edgar. My money is on Aldo for a few reasons. One, it's a winnable fight for Conor. I'm pretty sure a lot easier fight than Frankie. Aldo does deserve a rematch. I don't like the shit posted on Twitter about as soon as Conor lost, fairy tale is over, you're a pussy, can't run anymore. That's just silly from a guy who got knocked out in 13 seconds. But all that aside, he was champ for 10 years, one loss. I think he deserves a rematch. And then Edgar... Edgar's going to either have to wait or fight somebody, and I don't think he should wait because you never know, and Aldo pulls out a lot, so he needs to be getting ready and fight somebody, so if something happens, they can put Edgar in there. That's just a no-brainer. As for the RDA fight, just because we kind of saw that fight go, I heard Nate was injured. Yeah, he wasn't motivated. It was before everybody understood that RDA was some kind of new freak monster. But I don't like that fight just because it doesn't interest me so much. But that doesn't. RDA's the champ, so whatever. I think Robbie Lawler might be the funner fight, the better fight, the bigger fight. But that's up at 170, and Lawler's Jesus. It's just unbelievable. Rewatch Roy versus Robbie Lawler, and it's awe-inspiring. It just makes your mouth hang open and say, "Oh my God, I love this sport." But that'd be a fun fight. Past that, I don't know. And Nate made seven. He's got that goofy shirt money, so he doesn't have to do anything. But I'd like to see him and Lawler, but I don't know size. I also want to see his brother fight Lawler again. I think that's a no-brainer. So there's some good options there. And then we got questions about Holly Holm, Miesha Tate, Ronda Rousey. Closure. I've been a huge Rousey fan for years since she showed up on the scene in Strikeforce. I loved the little smack talking, pretty girl breaking people's arms off, talking shit. The backstory, former Olympian, family tragedy, living in her car, shit like that. She literally came from next to nothing. When she got in the sport, with her grappling, her judo, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. But with Holly, and I think we've seen that Holly is very, very exposed on the ground. And Ronda got her down there and didn't have the strength to do much. And I don't think Ronda, the movies and the other bullshit, just was tired. The whole thing just seemed off, and she got obliterated. And psychologically, I know she's damaged. But seeing after Tate won the title, her posting on social media, or her people posting, well, it's time to get back to work now. Really? That just kind of everything that's happened since that loss. She lost. She didn't go to the press conference or anything, which I'm fine with. She was knocked unconscious. She needs to go to the hospital. Flies back into the airport, but hides behind a pillow and doesn't speak. Basically stays out of the media, does a piece with some ESPN journalist that was just fluff, shows up on Saturday Night Live, finally congratulates Holly. And then when she showed up on Ellen, The Ellen DeGeneres show, crying about losing. Her whole life was over, she said. In the locker room after the fight, she was contemplating suicide, and then saw her boyfriend, Travis Brown, who's married, by the way, and allegedly beat the shit out of his wife. And I say allegedly because we have to. There was plenty of pictures of it. You know, long story short, Rhonda said, I saw Travis and said, no, I can't die. I have to have his babies. What the fuck? That's what I thought when I heard that. I thought, what? This from a girl or a lady, a fighter who for the last year or two has been, woman power. Floyd Mayweather's a piece of shit for beating on women, and women power, do nothing bitches, and babies, really? And then saying, oh, Tate's got the belt, time to get back to work. And then we start seeing pictures of her in the gym hitting pads like a 10-year-old. And again, love her, and she's in a bad camp. Edmund obviously is not the best trainer in the world, but she's a loyal person. I can respect that, but she's gonna. I mean, her throwing hands with people, she's gonna get fucked up, and I think I've seen that. She faced some people, knocked some people out, but she better get back to what brought her to the dance. And then the interview the other day at the gym with Ronda Rousey, and her PR people separated the media and said, "Hey, not allowed to ask about fights, UFC, Holly Holm, none of that. The interview will be over." And they're all like, well, why are we here? And so I think she's convinced her. Let me tell you what, without her interest in Rousey and stuff like that. So she's got a house movie maybe on hold. They're going to do a biopic about her life. That should be interesting. And her book's interesting. If you haven't read it, I'm a fan. Again, I've always been a big fan, but how she was handled losing has been disappointing. From whether you're a fan or not, it's just disappointing. And contrast that with Conor McGregor losing, holding his head high, answering every interview, every media question, admitting that he panicked, he broke, he lost. It's a bitter pill, but he's humble in victory, humble. After a fight, Conor's shaking hands, and most fighters are like that. And contrast that with Ronda. She wants to hold grudges and all that kind of stuff, which is fine, but you can't be all upset and hide out from the world just because stuff didn't go your way. I think that's a betrayal of the fans that pay the bills, that made her a star. Guys like me that have her as a person. But when you start making questionable choices and things like that, again, she has every right to do whatever the hell she wants to do. But you can't blame it on everybody else. And you have to get back to what you were doing. I think worst case scenario, she goes in there, and we have Cyborg out there at 145, fighter at 145. The only person that doesn't give her 5 pounds to jump up 10 pounds, I think it's like Holm fight, and deserving a meet at this point. Maybe she does. Not one against Holly, but she's really excited about Tate. And then you got Juliana Pena, bantamweights. There's some interesting fights that can be made now. And, I think Misha's a great lady, good champion, so I think that'll go okay. I'd like to hear what you guys think. You want to see Tate Rousey next? You want to see Conor Albert, Robbie Lawler, RDA, Cerrone again? That's always a fun fight. Lots of cool options. I'd love to hear you guys. And again, thanks for everybody supporting this. We're going to be giving away some cool MMA memorabilia over the next couple of weeks on the website and on our Facebook page, which is realmmanews.com. Be sure and check that out. If you would, give this a like, give this a share, give this a retweet. Hit me with your questions. I am at Randy Lehman on Twitter. I'm Randy Lehman on Facebook, but you can, of course, find the website and go about that way. I am give my take on things. Coming up, the next big fight is DC and Jones. That's the next big fight. I don't, unless something's drastically changed, I think Jones should handle DC. People are still supporting. The real problem with DC is everybody, I think most people just saying, yeah, I understand. I only got it because Jones disqualified him. Relate to John Jones fucking up drunk driving than they can DC. So I think that's what he's seeing. Accounts history. So can you not love the guy? He's probably the greatest fighter we've ever seen. Easily the highest fight IQ in the ring, and some of the stuff before then. Again, post my picks. They're free. You don't pay for nothing. You want to go? I'm not. That dude's an expert. Again, thanks for all the support, guys. Really wanting to get this out there. I actually tried to do this, and I'm technically I'm just slow and it can make it sound decent. Things in here. I just like talking in it. So again, thanks for all the support. This out, and we will get some more questions answered. Supporting us.